So I have all three of the masculine fragrances from Bentley's higher end Beyond collection, which includes Wild Vetiver, Exotic Musk, and of course, Majestic Cashmere. So let's go ahead and take a look at all three of these and see if these stack up to the price tag. Hey, what's going on guys? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And also be sure to follow my fragrance Instagram page where I've been posting daily fragrance content over there. But in this video guys, that's right, we're taking a look at the Beyond collection from Bentley, which is more of the higher end niche-like line from the company. Of course, you have the For Men line. And with these Beyond collection guys, these actually retail for, I believe, like double the price of the original line at $210, where the original line retails at $110. So it definitely is a little bit on the pricey side, especially from a car manufacturer fragrance brand. But to be honest with you, Bentley definitely deserves the #1 spot when it comes to car manufacturer fragrance brands, because everything I've tried from them have absolutely blew me away, guys. They are definitely the best when it comes to that genre. Now, I do want to mention that these three fragrances were sent out for review by the people over at So Avant-Garde. And if you haven't heard of this company, they are a distributor for many designer and niche brands, such as, of course, Bentley, where you'll be able to find every single line and every single fragrance from the house of Bentley over at that website. And I did hook you guys up with a discount code. Use code FragHunter15 for an additional 15% off your order at checkout on anything on the entire website. So be sure to use that to get some savings. So let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging and presentation you will get with the Bentley Beyond the collection. Now, this is, especially the box, guys, is much nicer than the original line, which just comes in a fragile cardboard generic fragrance box. But with these guys, you have this beautiful box that's wrapped in the Bentley leather. Now I'm just joking, it's probably not like genuine Bentley leather, but it is very nice and it definitely feels luxurious and high-end and worth the price tag that you pay for these. Of course, you have this logo right here with the Bentley and the fragrance. Nothing on the sides or the bottom, but on the back, you do have your ingredients. This is a 100 ml bottle and they all are in eau de parfum concentration. Then on the bottom, you'll find your batch code and barcode to authenticate your product to see when it was produced as well. And you guys may notice, it actually says Lalique Beauty right there. And I think that these bottles are actually made from the company Lalique. If you haven't heard of their fragrances either, I'm a huge fan of Al Extreme. Very good Vetiver fragrance, but the glasses, guys, are extremely weighted. We'll look at that in a moment. But when you pop this open, it does open like so, and you do have your bottle that is housed in there very snugly, guys. And it's just all in all very well done, and it does feel luxurious. Now, looking at the bottle, guys, as well, these bottles are absolutely stunning. Just look at that thing of beauty right there, guys. Extremely heavy glass that is extremely thick as well. Nothing on the cap. Of course, you do have the Beyond the collection with Majestic Cashmere in the front. Nothing on the back. And then on the bottom, you do have a sticker that you can't really see, but it is there. And then as well, you have this kind of like stitched, wrapped leather around the cap as well. That does click into place, which is nice. And it is a little bit heavy. It does feel kind of like metal, not plastic, which is nice as well. And then you have your atomizer with the B and the Bentley logo right there as well too. So all in all, guys, this is extremely nice packaging, especially coming from, like I said, a car manufacturer, that it does justify the price a little bit more from the packaging alone, because you do feel like you have a quality product. But let's go ahead and talk about actually Wild Vetiver first, because you know I love Vetiver. And guys, this is a good one. Let's go ahead and spray this and test out the atomizer that you will get with the Beyond collection. Let's see here. Very decent atomizer. It does spray quite a bit of juice, but a little bit narrow, but it does get the job done, guys. So Wild Vetiver, of course, you're gonna be expecting a Vetiver dominant fragrance, and that's exactly what you get, guys. But what actually makes this one stand out is just the quality of the Vetiver you get in the opening of this fragrance. It's done so good, guys. I honestly cannot wrap my mind around how this fragrance came from a car manufacturer. This smells like it would come from some high-end niche brand, guys, because the quality is top tier when it comes to Vetiver-based fragrances. And to be honest with you guys, I own quite a bit of Vetiver dominant fragrances, which I am gonna do a top list soon, like I did with the Ouds. And you better believe this one's gonna make that list, and probably pretty high. In the opening, I do get that bergamot alongside the Vetiver. And the vetiver actually comes across coming smelling very, very cold and dry and earthy. It has like a cooling and dry aspect to it. And of course, grassy and earthy as well, which vetiver is known for. But what I also love about this fragrance is it has a kind of a clean and smoky nuance to it from the verbena, which has a green touch and a clean vibe. And you also have the birch in here as well. Now, the birch definitely does add that smoky aspect to this fragrance, which I love. It also is a little bit spicy from the pepper accord, but it's not so much so where it's overbearing or overpowering the vetiver or the citrus bergamot. Now, as it dries down, you are greeted with that amber wood, which of course resembles like the note of amber, which is very warming, very comforting, and a little bit resinous, of course. But it does add that modern touch to this fragrance as well, because usually when you think of vetiver fragrances, they can lean a little bit more on the mature side of things. It's because they smell more professional, more grown up, which this one does have that professional aspect to it. Now, this is definitely an office safe fragrance and probably the most office safe out of the three I have here compared to Exotic Musk and Majestic Cashmere. Can definitely see myself wearing this one to work. This has that kind of sophisticated, grown up, classy, gentlemanly vibe to it, which I absolutely love. Now, this fragrance does remind me a little bit of another vetiver heavy fragrance, which is my favorite vetiver in my collection at that time, which is Roja Parfum's Vetiver, at least the Parfum Cologne, because that one I also said it does have that kind of cooling, dry vibe in it, and this one does as well. The only thing that differs from this to that, it has that amberwood base, which does, like I said, bring that modern touch to it. This one does have a little bit more of a modern vibe to Roja Parfum's Vetiver. But as we know, that fragrance is very expensive. So if you like that fragrance, you're definitely gonna love this one as well. Yeah, you just cannot go wrong with this, guys. It's just another fantastic, sophisticated, classy vetiver fragrance that smells of quality. And I just love that, guys. For the performance behind Wild Vetiver, it is good. I would definitely say it's above average, especially when it comes to vetiver fragrances, because vetiver isn't really known to be beast mode fragrances. And also there's nothing really in this fragrance that makes it perform good. There's no really synthetic like ambroxan, isoe super, there's no musk or anything listed. So yeah, all in all, it does actually perform very good. And I also have to say, when I'm smelling this test strip, it smells very natural, guys. It doesn't really come across synthetic smelling or anything like that, which is plus for sure. I love more natural smelling fragrances, even though synthetics are not bad, because like I said, they do produce the performance of fragrances. But in this fragrance, extremely natural smelling, especially the vetiver, the bergamot, and that verbena note. Extremely well done, guys. And the performance is above average with Wild Vetiver as well. Let's go ahead and talk about Exotic Musk now. I gotta tell you guys, Exotic Musk is a gem of a fragrance. Now, musk heavy fragrances usually come across very simple and very linear and just clean. This one is not the case by any means, guys. This is a complex musky fragrance. So let's go and spray this one as well. Same atomizer, of course, very decent. So with Exotic Musk, let me remind myself of this beauty. Oh, guys, I love this fragrance so much. And I'm not usually a big fan of musk fragrances because, like I said earlier, just very clean, very simple smelling, and just nothing really special about it. Sometimes very boring, but this one, guys, is definitely the most excited I've ever been about a musk fragrance. In the opening of this, you get a very creamy orris note, which of course smells like iris if you're familiar with that. And wow, the orris in here is done so good. I'm actually blown away by how good this has actually blended together. It just blows my mind. You also do have a tonka bean as well. And of course the musk also, which is pretty much throughout the life of this fragrance. Even though it is alongside the orris, the tonka bean, stuff like that, which gives it a creaminess, but that musk as well, guys. Obviously you can't use natural musk anymore for certain reasons, unfortunately. But in this, man, this smells so authentic. I can't even believe it. Has a very masculine, clean vibe to it, and I just can't get over how good this fragrance is, man. The first time I wore this one, I just had a smile on my face the entire day. I was actually so impressed with this. This is definitely my favorite musk dominant fragrance in my collection at this time. It's unfortunate because I don't think many people have actually given this fragrance a chance since it came out. I think these were all launched in 2019 as well, if I didn't mention that earlier. So they have been around for a few years now, but they haven't got that much talk. I think the one that got the most talk is the Majestic Cashmere, which we'll talk about next. But Exotic Musk, guys, this deserves the hype because this stuff is so good for a musk fragrance that is complex, smells authentic, and has a lot going on. Especially if you like creaminess and orris, this is the fragrance for you without a doubt. And I also want to mention in the dry down of this, with the musk, it does come across a little bit spicy as well, which I love. And all in all, this has a very modern touch to the fragrance. Now, as far as like seasons and occasions, I would wear exotic musk would definitely be the fall, spring, and summer. Definitely not the winter because it's not that dense, it's not that extremely potent. There's nothing really winter heavy about this fragrance. But it would work in the fall and the spring and the summer without a problem at all, because obviously musky, you have that creamy orris note, which gives it a warming aspect to it, and obviously tonka bean as well. Now, as far as occasions with exotic musk, you could wear it casually and formal both, but I would definitely say if I had to pick either of those, it leans more on the formal side of things. It absolutely has more of an upscale, classy kind of vibe to it. I can definitely see myself wearing this one suited up in a suit with a black tie. It just has that kind of touch to it. So more on the formal side of things, but you could wear it casually to the office or work as well. It would work perfectly for both of those without a doubt. Now, for the performance of exotic musk, longevity is very good. I do get around 8 hours or so with the longevity. Now, the projection, usually musk heavy fragrances lean closer to the skin and they become more of a skin scent because that's what musk usually does, like a second skin kind of. But I do have to say this does perform better than most musk fragrances I've ever smelled, but still it doesn't project the most. I would say it's not a beast mode fragrance by any means, but it's about average when it comes to that genre of fragrances. So hats off to Bentley, man. This is a phenomenal fragrance. So good. And at the end of the video, I will tell you which 3 of these are actually my favorite. But let's go ahead and talk about the last one and probably the most hyped up one from the line, Majestic Cashmere. So let's go ahead and spray Majestic Cashmere and remind myself of this one. Obviously same sprayer as well. Now with Majestic Cashmere, what I was expecting from this fragrance before I actually got my nose on it was going to be more of like a sophisticated niche version of like Bentley Fermented Intense, which we know is obviously a boozy, resinous fragrance. But this one here, not that at all. Now with Majestic Cashmere, especially in the opening, of course you're going to get that modern kind of fluffy cashmere note. And it's very heavy on that note, which does, like I said, bring a coziness to the fragrance, brings a warmingness to this fragrance as well. Now, the cashmere note in this kind of reminds me of Nishane's B612. If you didn't catch my review of that and you're interested, go check that one out. Of course, that fragrance is actually a barbershop fougere fragrance, which this one is not, but with the cashmere note, it does have a similarity to it. Honestly, I would say this is more of like a darker, earthy B612 with that cashmere note, of course. And I just love the note of cashmere, especially in B612. And it's very similar in this fragrance, which is a very good thing for me. Now, of course, alongside that, you do have musk and I think ambrette as well, which is more like an animalic musk, I believe. And you do get that muskiness alongside the cashmere. And also in the dry down, it does dry down a little bit earthy from the patchouli and a little bit of vetiver also. Now, to be honest with you guys, this fragrance is a little bit shy. That's how I can pretty much describe this fragrance, is shy. It does not push off the skin that much. It does sit very close to the skin. And that's just not what I was really expecting. When I got these 3 fragrances in, I thought 100% I would lean more towards Majestic Cashmere as my favorite one and the one I was looking the most forward to, but I was a little bit let down just because it is very airy and I wasn't really expecting that, especially from the juice color being the darkest of the 3. And like I said, I thought it would be more of a niche version of like Bentley Fermented Intense. But no guys, it's very airy, very fluffy, very like clean, musky, and a little bit of an earthy patchouli in the dry down. It does also have the orris and the tonka bean, just like exotic musk has as well. And the vetiver in here, kind of like wild vetiver, so it does share a little bit of similarities in notes to those 2, but none of these smell similar at all. Yeah, it is a little bit boring. I can see where they're coming from though, because it definitely does have that kind of luxurious, rich vibe to the fragrance. And usually more luxurious fragrances don't want to be beast mode party going fragrances that push 10 feet off the skin and project for 10 hours. That's not usually what these kind of fragrances go for, so I can definitely see what Bentley was going for with Majestic Cashmere. It's 100% more suited for a formal gentleman guy that means business, he's a boss, he's an alpha male, that kind of thing. That's especially how this fragrance comes across to me. 100% more suited for a suit and tie and for more formal events. If you're going to a wedding, if you work in obviously a dressed up environment, that is the fragrance for you. But for me guys, I was a little bit let down, like I said, but at the end of the day, I can see and respect what Bentley did with this fragrance. And I do actually really love that cashmere note in here. And honestly, I don't have many cashmere fragrances. The only one I can think of is B612, unless I actually think about it. But on the top of my head, that's the only other one that features the note of cashmere. And cashmere is an awesome note because of how fluffy. It just smells like you're wrapped up in a cashmere sweater. That's exactly how that note smells. And in here, done very, very well. But yeah, the performance is not the best. I get around maybe 6 hours of longevity and maybe an hour, 2 hours of decent projection until it does come a little bit closer to the skin. So honestly, all three of these are not the best projecting fragrances, but at the end of the day, they do have their place. Like I said, you don't want all your fragrances to be beast mode. Sometimes I'm in the mood for more of a close to the skin fragrance that's not overpowering and overbearing and just becomes cloying to me. And this is a line that I will reach for a lot, especially since they have a variety of fragrances all suited for different events and different occasions and seasons. Now, I would say Majestic Cashmere is definitely more suited for especially seasons. I guess I would say fall and winter just because of the warming aspects from the cashmere. Like wearing this one with a cashmere sweater will be absolute perfect. So yeah, fall and winter for this one, without a doubt. But that's gonna wrap up these three. Now I do wanna let you guys know my favorite out of these three is going to be, all right, so this is actually hard smelling these test strips right now between Exotic Musk and Wild Vetiver, but if I had to choose either of these two, it's definitely Wild Vetiver, guys. And that honestly surprises me because Vetiver is not my favorite note, but there's just something absolutely special about this fragrance that I'll be wearing a lot in the spring, the summer, especially on rainy days, which I love to wear Vetiver for. And I am gonna do a Vetiver topless very soon. So let me know down below if you'd be interested in that, because I will be doing that soon. But that's gonna wrap up the three from the Beyond collection from Bentley. Let me know down below if you've tried anything from this line or if you're interested in picking any of these up. I love to hear you guys' comments. But leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch all you guys in the next upload. Take care, everybody.